Okay, so how do you actually even get started with cycle syncing? It is the number one question that I get asked all the time, and I want to dive into this episode to make it super simple how you can actually get started, how you can actually implement it, and what you might actually see from doing that, from actually integrating it. Because I get it, it can feel really overwhelming to think of all of the different things that we could be cycle syncing because we could. We literally could be cycle syncing everything from our fitness to our libido to our conversations to our nutrition to you name it, all of it, because our hormones are impacting how we show up every single day. They really are. And there's not a single day in our month when our hormones have the same cocktail of estrogen and progesterone as any other time of the month. They are constantly fluctuating and constantly changing. And so it's so important for us to look at that and understand that and have that sense of awareness. But the mistake I see so many women making is getting stuck with like, well, okay, well, what do I do? How do I do this? Because there's so much. And so we're going to make it super simple. Okay. Super, super simple. Number one is just beginning to listen to your body, understanding what's happening on that monthly basis, because you and I are going to be completely different. My cycle right now, or in the past, has been like roughly around 32 days. And as I've been getting closer to perimenopause, it's been shortening up. But you may have a 28-day cycle. You might have a 24-day cycle. You may have a 32-day cycle. Like our cycles are all going to be so different. And how we interact with those cycles are so different. And so I know I talk a lot about in my book, Cycle Sync Your Business, or online, all of these different kind of this is where each of the different hormones are at and how we should all be feeling and things. But I've been in this work for a long enough time to realize that the cookie cuttered approach is not going to work. It's not going to be the same for every single person. So even the information that I give, I want you to be able to layer that in on your body and your life and say, does this match for me? Is this what's actually showing up for me? What I've noticed for a lot of my women is like, yes, ovulation is typically our prime time when we feel amazing. But I've also worked with clients where ovulation can feel really overwhelming. Maybe they have lots of low energy. They feel like moody and irritable. And so you never want to take any of this stuff that we're talking about in terms of cycle syncing and feel like there's something wrong with you or that it's not right or something's not working. Because the whole idea behind all of this is that you're listening to your body. You're understanding what is happening for you and being able to listen to that. So, step number one is just that. Like, start listening to your body. What's actually happening for you? When you're looking at the whole cycle, you want to track, yes, your menstrual cycle, but when a lot of women talk about tracking their menstrual cycle, that means they're tracking when they're bleeding. But the bleed is just one portion. The bleed is really just the encore for the whole thing. So if you really want to track your cycle, you want to first off track your bleed, but you also want to track ovulation. Ovulation is really truly the queen of the whole show. When ovulation is happening, predicts the rest of the cycle. It will give you lots of information if your cycle's irregular or maybe anovulatory or if you have hormone imbalances or any of that nature. Understanding what's happening with ovulation is going to be key for so many reasons and can actually help you get the support you need either from your medical provider or a naturopath or a hormone specialist or something if things aren't going the way they should be going. Should put in quotations, right? Because we're all going to have a little bit of a variance, but there is some element of normal, right? So, step number one is tracking your period, tracking your ovulation. Lots of ways that you can do that. I have other videos that tell you all about how you can track ovulation. And then number two would be tracking throughout the month whatever metric kind of meets the goal that you're at or you're after. So, a lot of the clients that I work with are ambitious women who are driven. They want to achieve bigger goals. They want to hit bigger impact. They want to create more revenue, all of those things. And so, when we're looking at what things we want to track, things are going to be related to energy. They're going to be related to focus. It's going to be related to productivity. It's going to be around creativity, like how their brain is actually functioning for them as they move throughout the month. We want to know that because if we know that Jane gets such a burst of creative energy on day 5 of her cycle, then we want to make sure that she has the space in her calendar to really implement that creativity. If we know that then again on day 21, she has zero capacity to show up online, she has zero desire to interact with anybody, we want to know that too, right? And so we're going to track those things for her. Maybe your goals are related to fitness. Maybe your goals are related to nutrition. Whatever it may be, you want to take whatever the goal is for you and you want to start just monitoring and tracking as you go throughout the month. What does that feel like? What are you noticing? What's showing up for you? Maybe, you notice like I'm lifting so well, my workout weights, and I'm doing amazing. And then you hit that luteal phase, and all of a sudden, the weights you were lifting 2 weeks ago just feel so much heavier, and you maybe have to modify a little bit. You want to know those things and you want to be able to integrate and be able to plan for those. Okay. So, step number one is just get into the practice of tracking without the expectation of having to change anything at this point in time. Like the gift of being able to listen to your body is so prime, and you want to be able to really nurture and foster that without this expectation that you have to do anything. Just the awareness alone oftentimes changes things for so much for many of my clients. Like just the presence of like, I'm in my luteal phase and that's why I need to take a break, or that's why I'm feeling like I need to take a nap. And I'm going to be okay with that. Like, I'm just going to let myself feel into that and be okay with it. Now, the next step, number two, would be integrating it into your calendar some way or some fashion. So I love having it on my Google Calendar because I know anywhere going forward where I'm potentially going to be. I don't use an app to track my cycle. The only app that I use is my Aura Ring, but I'm not actively logging anything or putting anything in or doing any of that thing because I know what's happening in my body pretty well at this point because I've tracked it for so long. But what I do is integrate it into my calendar. So I'm not somebody who's going to open up a cycle syncing menstrual cycle app every single day and look at it and see where am I supposed to be, how am I supposed to feeling and all those types of things because I'm going to listen to me. Right? I want to know, yes, generally, where's my cycle and like what's happening in my body, but always you are your North Star compass. Like you want to be able to tune into you. My one caveat with any of the menstrual tracking apps is the ones that are predictive, that are telling you, hey, you should be feeling this way today. You should have low energy today. One, that's like creates the reality, right? We create our reality with our predictions and our words and what we put out there. But also, it confuddles up with you actually listening to your body. If you need that to be able to kind of understand and begin learning to listen to your body, because our world has not done a very good job of teaching us that. Like our world has not done a very good job of teaching women how to listen to their bodies. So if you need a little bit of that external structure to begin learning how to listen to your bodies, by all means, like use it. But be very careful where in there you're letting what you read in the app dictate what you're feeling rather than what you're feeling maybe being validated with what's in the app. Slight nuance, but makes a huge difference. Okay. Now, having it in my calendar with my Google is everything set up on repeating. So I know I have roughly a 30-day cycle. And so I have my luteal phase in there set for repeating every 30 days. I have the ovulation phase repeating every 30 days. And so when I am looking forward 20 days from now to be able to schedule something into my calendar, I know roughly where I'm going to be in my cycle. When you do that, you have kind of a couple of options. One, you can modify where you put things into your schedule. Maybe you say, I'm not actually going to schedule that there. I'm going to wait a week and schedule it a week later. You also have the option of like, hey, you know what? This is going to be a really intense time for me. I'm going to actually schedule maybe in the evening. I'm going to take a self-care afternoon and be by myself. Or maybe I've already got 3 calls in this morning. I need to make sure there's space in the middle of the day so I can go out and take a walk. It gives you the freedom to be able to adjust and accommodate based on where your energy maybe is likely at. You don't have to do massive shifts. You don't have to make massive changes. Oftentimes, just the awareness can make such a huge difference for women. So, just this permissioning of like, hey, I'm going to actually plug in an actual lunch break. Like, I'm not going to sit and eat through lunch. I'm going to go sit outside and eat lunch. And those small little shifts can make such a huge difference. Oftentimes, people come to me thinking they have to overhaul everything to see the results of cycle syncing, but oftentimes it's just like a 10% shift, like a 10% like adjustment can have leaps and bounds in terms of getting, 10 times more productivity, 10 times more focus, 10 times more energy, like all creativity, all of the things. It doesn't have to be a massive overhaul. And on that note, my final step for this would be just make small changes. Don't feel like you have to do everything all at once. Maybe this month, all you do is track. Maybe next month you integrate it into your calendar. And maybe the month after that, you do what I recommend to all my clients is that every single day you ask yourself, what does my body need today? Because if you ask yourself every single day, what does my body need today? It puts you in the place of really understanding what's happening for you, which is above and beyond all cycle syncing. I think there's this swing in terms of cycle syncing that people think, like I said, there's this cookie cutter approach that you are going to feel a certain way and you're going to act a certain way and that you have to perform a certain way based on where your menstrual cycle is. And I really don't believe that anymore. I believe that your cycle is intended to be a guide, it's intended to be a rhythm, it's intended to be a compass system for you to help you create balance in your life. But it should never be treated as this rigid rule book for how you should perform and how you should show up every single day. It is a system that we can use to help us get back actually to listening to our bodies and what's happening for us. Because I can guarantee if I were to ask myself how I'm feeling today, it's not just my cycle that's impacting how I feel today, right? It's same probably for you. It's the way you slept last night and whether or not your kids actually picked up their shit on the floor last night, or whether or not you had a great client call today, or maybe you got in a fight with your partner. All of those things are going to impact the way you're feeling. It is not just your menstrual cycle. Like one of the biggest things when I was first working with clients, I had some clients come to me and they're like, I'm in my ovulation phase. I should be feeling amazing right now. And I'm not. And we sat down and kind of talked it through and was like, well, what's happening? How are you showing up? Like, whatever. Come to find out, she was waking up in the morning. She had a slow morning. She stayed in her pajamas. She would kind of lounge around for a little while and then she would wander in to try to get some work done. And so the whole morning kind of set her up for this like slow going energy motion. And so even though she was ovulating, her habits were creating this slow like energy all morning long. And so the ovulation energy is not going to override that. But if we can compound and work together with where your body's naturally at and support it with habits that are going to help amplify that, that makes everything so much better. So for her, we set up a morning routine for her so that when she was ovulating, she got up in the morning and she did a light workout and then she took a shower. You guys I cannot tell you how powerful even just taking a shower can be for your energy. And so when you're in that ovulation phase, like make those small adjustments, make the adjustments to get up and take a shower and all of those things. So circling back is that your cycle is not the only thing impacting the way you show up every single day. And so having this practice of being able to tune in with yourself and ask yourself, what am I feeling today? Can shift and change so much because then you can make adjustments. You can support yourself in the way that it needs to be supported. And that is going to change the game for you. When you can start supporting yourself in these micro moments and these micro shifts, everything changes. So if you want to dive in more, I highly, highly recommend you grab a copy of my book, Cycle Sync Your Business. You can get a free copy of that over at reneefick.com/free book if you are in the United States. If you are outside the United States or if you just like the audio version, you can go over to reneefick.com/chapter, grab the first 3 chapters on audiobook and grab access to those there. But again, I 1000% believe that understanding our cycles and how our hormones are impacting us is just the beginning for women. There's so much magic that I've uncovered in the last however many years that I've been working with women and helping them actually leverage their bodies, leverage their femininity, really step into this place of like feminine leadership and how we show up and build businesses differently. And the cycle gives us a good structure and basis for starting that. And then once we've integrated that, we open up so much more. So, recapping for today is number one, start tracking. Like, start tracking for whatever your goals are. And as a bare minimum, you're tracking your cycle and or your period, and you're tracking your ovulation. Number two is integrate it into your calendar and let that be that. Let it just be an observation. Let it be just the awareness of it. And then step three would be start making micro shifts and micro adjustments in what you're doing and how you're doing to help support where your cycle's at, where your energy's at, where your body's at, and be able to really nourish where you are and what you need. I will see you in the next episode. I hope you have a fantabulous day. If you have any further questions regarding cycle syncing and how it looks and what's happening and all of those things, anything related, or what it looks like to integrate beyond that into really embodying our cycles and the feminine leadership aspects, like please drop them in the comments or come drop them in my DMs. Like I am so happy to answer any of your questions. So just let me know what those are. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Have a fabulous day.